In a recent statement, the Iran envoy to India says, "Countering Hamas is an excuse for Israel to invade Gaza." Before we dive in, please subscribe to the channel and stay always one step ahead to know all global important events happening around you. Give a thumbs up and share the video with your family and friends. Let's move on with the video. New Delhi. As the Israel-Hamas conflict continues to grow tense, the ambassador of Iran to India, Iraj Elahi, has strongly criticized Israel for countering Hamas terrorists, calling it an excuse to invade Gaza and further expand their settlements and occupation there. In an interview with ANI, the Iranian envoy said, "The Zionist regime shows a lack of concern for the lives of the hostages. Despite the opportunity to exchange them by accepting the recent UN resolution, they chose to refuse. It is clear that countering Hamas is merely an excuse to invade Gaza and further expand their settlements and occupation." From the very start, the Zionist regime has been on the losing side of this conflict, given its inhumane and self-contradictory nature. Rather than accepting defeat, they tragically persist in continuing this frightening drama, seemingly driven by a desire to revive their lost hubris, the envoy said. Following the Abraham Accords, the daily violence against Palestinians has escalated to an unprecedented level. The Zionist regime has not only made life unbearable for Palestinians but has also desecrated Masjid al-Aqsa, intensifying its efforts to undermine the identity of Palestine, he added. Notably, Al-Qassam brigades, the military arm of Hamas, had earlier referred to the October 7th assault on Israel as an effort in defense of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a disputed religious site significant to both Muslims and Jews. The conflict in Gaza escalated after the October 7th attack by Hamas, where about 2,500 terrorists breached the border into Israel from the Gaza Strip, leading to casualties and the seizure of hostages. Israel has characterized its Gaza offensive as targeting Hamas's infrastructure with the goal of eliminating the entire terror group while making efforts to minimize civilian casualties, the Times of Israel reported. Over 8,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks since October 7th. More than 1,400 people were killed in the Hamas attack on Israel. Meanwhile, the Iranian ambassador further stated that it is morally permissible to defend itself against oppression, as he slammed Israel for expanding its ground operations in Gaza. He also took a jibe at the United States, US, for its support to Israel, and said the US hinders progress by supporting the occupiers. Another critical juncture in the narrative is the recent truce between Israel and Hamas, a pause in the ongoing conflict. But a truce is a delicate thing, easily shattered, and the tension remains palpable. The situation is complex, with layers of political and military maneuvering. How close are we to a larger regional conflict? It's a question that's been echoing in the minds of many as we look at the recent events in Gaza. Consider the surprise attack by Hamas on Israel, a startling move that resulted in significant casualties and a state of war declaration by Israel. The response was swift and fierce, with Israeli retaliations leading to even more loss of life. But the impact isn't confined to these two entities. Signs of escalation are visible across Israel's borders. To the north, Hezbollah has been launching rockets, while to the south, Israeli forces have been bombing crossings. This isn't just a two-player game anymore. It's a complex chessboard with multiple players, each with their own agendas and goals. And then there's the potential for the conflict to spread to neighboring countries. The incursion into Gaza could act as a trigger, prompting other nations to join the conflict. This could potentially lead to a dangerous and unstable multi-front conflict, the ripple effects of which could be felt far beyond the immediate region. The situation is volatile, and the potential for escalation is real. So, what does all this mean for the region and the world at large? Let's take a step back and examine the bigger picture. The USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, a symbol of American might and resolve, has been deployed to the Mediterranean. This move sends a clear message to Iran and other regional players. It's a statement of readiness, a signal that the United States is prepared to engage if necessary. Meanwhile, the Iranian envoy to India has offered a different perspective, suggesting that Israel's intention to counter Hamas is merely a pretext, a smokescreen if you will, for an intended invasion of Gaza. This perspective adds another layer of complexity to the unfolding situation. It raises questions about intent, strategy, and the potential for manipulation in this volatile chessboard of power. In this complex geopolitical landscape, understanding intentions can be as important as understanding the power dynamics at play.